here on Rated G.
I don't know if
Yes.
you realize I've been calling you Ivan this whole time.
Yeah, I mean it's IVAN, but in Europe that's Ivan
And last name is pronounced, is it
Pesic.
Pesic?
Yeah, exactly. You say good.
Pesic.
You
Okay.
know, when I was kid, I knew to sit all day and to copy all comic book just to practice. My first art I ever made was black and white ink, or pencil. I love abstract paintings because I can think what happened moment before, what will happen next. We're going this line. Why is this kid yellow or green? So that's my point, to happen something on the canvas.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to another special edition to the Rated G podcast. I'm your host, G. Terado. For those of you who have been here before, welcome back and thank you for your continued support. And for everyone else who is new here, welcome to the show. Here on the podcast, I like to feature local artists and other creatives to have honest discussions and conversations about our craft as well as other aspects in life. And if you enjoyed that type of content, please be sure to hit that like, follow, subscribe, ring the notification bell. That way you can keep up with the current uploads. And for just the listeners out there, definitely head over to my YouTube channel because other than the visual podcast, I do post other types of content. So check that out. And links to all my social media, the social media links for my featured guests will all be provided in the show description. So, don't be shy. Be sure to visit our social media links, hit that follow button if you want to continue to follow us. And let's go. I'm very excited and a little intimidated because my first time guest here is an artist that I met in Charlottesville about maybe a year or almost 2 years ago, I feel like now. And since then, I've just always admired his work. He is a phenomenal artist. I mean, just saying that he's talented wouldn't be enough. Very skillful. And just since then, we've been staying in touch, and I just, again, been admiring his work. So please welcome to the podcast for his first time, Ivan Pesic.
Thank you, G.
How did I do?
It's not bad.
Okay.
As you say, pretty busy, but I like that.
So yeah, right. Like, has it been nearly 2 years now since knowing each other?
Yeah, I think Charlottesville 2 years ago
Right.
on
What?
the art
What?
festival X Park, something like that.
I was gonna say it had to been either their arts festival or maybe even because the first festival, or rather just their first art event I did with them, was the Metamorphics show.
Exactly right. Was in the night, right?
Yeah, it was at night.
I think I met you then. So it was 3 years almost.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Time flew.
That's cool. And I remember this year you came in Richmond, Art in the Park. You came to visit me, so I really appreciate that.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, I mean, I love seeing your work, especially up close, of course. And I heard my favorite painting sold, but you did a replica of it, the samurai.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, here somewhere.
oh, don't worry, I'll make sure I include the photo in the final edit because it's just such a I don't know, I can't come up with the words right now at the moment, but I love it, the focus of the subject matter and everything was just, I don't know, the way you captured it was just so good. And yeah, so it's been nearly 3 years. And I try to make it a point to, like, if I'm not working any weekend and there's a bunch of other, I mean, of course, there's always something going on in Richmond. So whether if I'm not working that day, if I don't have anything else lined up, I just make sure I show up. Uh, I'd love to be more supportive in that. I'd love to be able to buy more prints, art prints from other artists, but it's just not quite my budget. But they do trades and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, once I knew you were gonna be around in the area, I had to come out and see you. Because we really don't see each other. It's only a couple times a year. So yeah, when I know
You're
you're
busy
close
too,
by.
man. Yeah, I follow you and you're busy. Almost every week you're going somewhere, and you have some show every weekend. So I totally understand how is that works.
Yeah. Yeah, this year has definitely been the most active I've been. Um, which is nice. But it has taken a significant amount of time and focus from my personal projects I want to work on. I find myself now kind of restocking not just my prints, but even some of like the smaller original art that I like my sketch cards.
Yeah,
Even some of those, I'm just like, if it's something quickly I can do, I'll do it. But I need to get back to my other painting ideas and try to get back on that track. But yeah, just staying busy, just like you're you're
yeah,
just as busy as well. That's part of the hustle now, right? Just
yeah,
getting out
man.
there.
And beside my regular job, I'm working shows, which I really like to do, but it's hard. You know that. It's sometimes need to put all stuff in the car. You need to drive to the spot to unload everything, to set up, to stay 2 days or day or 2 days to pick
Mm.
up everything back. So that's a little hard, but I like that. I enjoy to do that.
Same. Of course, right? Sometimes, most times I have Nicole helping me. So I always, give more respect to like yourself and everybody else that has to set up by themselves, especially when it involves a tent, because they're not easy to put up by yourself. It's doable, but it just takes longer. And I've had to like come up with a process to get my canopy up by
Yes.
myself if necessary. But yeah, but you see, that's the thing. I mean, you sent me an email of the list of events that you do, uh, and I need to get up on that, and I just gotta remember to visit those accounts. But yeah, you do more of the actual, like fine arts, visual arts
Oh,
focused
yeah.
events. Um, whereas I'm for me, I'm a slow build up, so I'm trying to get to that point, but in due diligence, you'll be seeing me up there with you at Arts in the Park or something.
Yeah, Art in the Park is amazing. We make commercial now for them. It's an amazing show. This is first show I ever made, in 2007. And I'm making that show almost every year. So we skip for a COVID, in 20 and 29, 21. But I worked this show for over 17 years.
Mm.
So I really like that show, and most artists selling a lot over there. So I highly recommend you that show.
Yeah, a lot of people do whenever they see me at the pop-up shows, and trust me, I want to do them, but it's a little intimidating as for now. It's a little intimidating, but surely I'll be jumping on board. It's a budget thing for me. I had this discussion with Nicole recently about, as active as I've been, I've noticed like the amount of money I make, what it allows me to do in terms of bookings, like what events I can book. It just seems right now the pop-up markets is like in my budget.
Yeah,
Because yeah, those fest any type of festival, you have your application fees,
yes,
and
yes,
then you pay for the rest of the art space, if you get accepted. So there's that. But before we get even deeper into the weeds of that, would you mind describing for our audience the type of artwork that you produce and a little bit about your art background as well?
Sure, sure. First, I came in United States in 2005 with my wife, and I'm from Serbia, and I was artist. I have a graphic design bachelor degree, and I always was in art, in graphic design, and we came here, and start to work in just a factory, and I came in United States just because I want to work to do art, and only way because galleries don't accept my work. I was nobody, and I had no experience. I had no, I was no name in art world when I came here. So only way was art shows, and I start first my art shows was something like you doing, something black and white because I like comic books, and when I was kid, I knew to sit all day and to copy all comic book to copy, just to practice. And my first art I ever made was black and white ink, or pencil, and I start with art show with that, But I realize acrylic paint is very good for me, and I start to painting, and I don't know, I try any technique, brushes and everything. But right now, and most recent work I'm doing is all acrylic paint and palette knife. So I don't use brush for my work. So from the background to the little details, I using just a palette knife, So all process of my work is similar like Photoshop because I'm working in the layers, So I make a background, I make and completely dry. After that, make another layer with a dark tones, completely dry. So my work is a process, So right now I like high texture. Palette knife give a high texture and bright colors. So that's something.
Yeah, I would to add on to like about how colorful your work is. You definitely have these very vibrant, you
Something.
capture vibrancy in your paintings. And here we go. Yeah.
But this is small piece, I use this just for a practice, You can see texture, but I like to make a large pieces. I'm enjoying in freedom. I like, I like to feel good when I painting,
Hmm. Was that sort of transition from the black and white comic book illustration style transitioning to the palette knife technique with acrylics? Was that, how was that transition? Did that happen in a matter of weeks, months, perhaps
a
years?
years, a years. I still like black and white, I still work black and white, but I think uh, everybody's changed. And when I was younger, I liked everything. I like details. I like photorealism, But when I get older, I start to like more something abstract. I like to work something, to think little seriously, And my point is, when I see a painting, if I spend 5 minutes thinking about that painting, that's good. If I see banana and I see that's just a banana or apple or something, and I'm past that, that's not good for me, So I personally, I respect any art, just to be clear, I
Mhm.
don't have nothing against photorealism and resin painting or something, but I love abstract paintings because I can think what happened moment before, what happened, what will happen next. We're going this line. Why is this kid yellow or green? You know, so that's my point. To happen something on the canvas. So that's the reason I just make a transition. You know, but that was not just I paint and one day I say, okay, I'm going to paint acrylics. No, I start black and white. I start black and white paintings, you know, something like a trash polka, something like that, you know. And, you know, I just developed my skills years and years, you know. I don't know, did I told you, I had a shop in Stanton, in downtown. It was coffee shop and the gallery. And I, all day, I worked just that. And all day I was in the shop and just a paint. And I had a lot of ideas, you know. So transition from the graphic design, some, you know, drawings to the paintings I'm doing right now was long time, you know.
Okay. Yeah, and so one thing I want to point out is that I always find it fascinating when there is because like I too growing up I have an older sibling that is an artist as well. He's an animator. And I was talking about this with my previous guests is that when I was little, I used to sneak in his room and I would kind of trace. And I was like 5 years old, maybe a little younger, but I would trace his art, until I started just trying to copy what I could capture with my eyes from comic books. And just like yourself, it kind of started with comic books and just kind of copying the things that I was like, that I was into, what I liked. And then it just stemmed from there on. Um, but going to what you were saying about because same thing, I can appreciate photorealism, paintings when they're just captured so accurately and just the impeccable details that are captured. But there is something about when an artist does uh what makes it more abstract or stylizes it, whatever that term the artist would like to use. Like, when I say stylized because it could be abstract or it can be some other form. But so it's not like exactly like a photo. You kind of like add your own little, let's say, your quirk to it, your little creative
Yeah.
quirkiness to it. And that's when, and I'm just speaking personally, that's when I can appreciate a style of an artist, is that like they're not just painting exactly what they saw in a photo or even like still life, is that they captured what was in front of them, but they still added other elements to it. And that's what I appreciate. And going back to your work, you capture, it's like, because when you look from it from afar, it's almost kind of like a photo until you step closer and you look at it, and then you start seeing the textures. And not just the textures, because for me it was I'll just say strokes, for the lack of a better term. Let's say if the viewer didn't know, it was done with a palette knife. Just like those kind of, like, you could almost describe it as almost like oh geez, pointillism almost.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
like there's like
yeah,
these like shorter strokes that you kind of have. And like
yeah,
I'm just trying to describe it, as if like the person doesn't know that it's a palette knife. It's like if you were working with a brush, that's kind of like how it would have been done, I would imagine. Just shorter brush strokes. You have a different art language in that way. But with the palette knife, you are able to have those textures, which just adds a whole nother dimension to it. And that's why I love your work personally.
yeah. I mean, as you say, I'm trying to make something, uh, something. to happen on the canvas. I already say that. So as you say, you saw some paintings from the distance, you see something, but when you coming closer, something is changed, you know. So that's my point, you know, just to make, when you wake up every morning to see different paintings on your wall, that's my point, you know. So if a rainy day today, your painting will be, you know, that's okay. But if sunny day, you will be, you know, surprised how is different. So high texture give that, especially from what side coming
The
light,
light
you know,
source.
so shadows, you know, and so that's I'm still develop my skill. I still trying to develop that, you know, because I experiment. Every my painting is experiment, you know, and next one is something new. I always trying to make this is reason I'm not painting. I'm not paint because, you know, because money or commercial or something like that. If I feel not good, if I feel bad, I just quit. I'm going in living room, watch TV. You know, I don't wanna transfer a bed. You know,
But you don't want to force it out per se.
no. That's reason I like abstract paintings. I like freedom. I know line is line, you know, but I don't like to need to come in just to the line and that's it. No, just pass the line, you know, just cross the border, go ahead. You know, that's my point, you know, and I'm trying every my next painting is something new. I'm trying to do something new, you know. So I still trying to find my style. I have my style, but I still try to develop that, you know. I never say I'm artist, you know. I just think I'm creative person, you know. But I still have no all elements to be a real artist, you know.
Mm.
So I don't know. I always like to say that, you know. So I'm not artist. I'm graphic designer and I'm creative person, you know, who use some tools to make art, you know. But I'm not completely artist.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, that I think like that, you know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Huh.
my friends complain about that all the time, and we fighting about that. He always say, "You are artist." No, man, I'm not.
Hmm.
I'm not. But you know, so maybe that make me to work more and to you know experiment more in this field.
That's so interesting because then it makes one question like what makes an artist then? Is it is it like how they express each other with the tools they have, or is it just purely like, an artist is someone that invokes an emotion or thought within their audience with their craft, whether it be, you know, uh, fine arts mediums or music or film. Like it's like very subjective on like how you define what an artist is. Because I take it as an artist is the person that will um, invoke some sort of feelings or what have you for the audience, whether it's with whatever type of medium. So that's how I usually just think an artist is, because you have your painters, you have your musicians, your singers, even like martial arts. I take that as an
Yes,
art form. So it's like, so it's just interesting hearing you say like, yeah, I'm not an artist. I am, a graphic designer that uses these tools. Um, I mean, like, yeah, it's like almost
I
like
mean
agree to
maybe
disagree.
sound weird, you know, but um for me to be completely artist is to know how to transfer your skill to somebody, how to teach somebody. I
Oh,
have no that ability, you know. I
okay.
I don't know how to do that. And to be completely artist, supposed to people to know you, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't, I don't know. In Waynesboro over here, a lot of people know me. Stanton, a lot of people know me. But you know, I don't want to say I'm like Picasso because I'm not. But
Right.
but Picasso is completely artist.
Mm.
Doesn't matter about money. Doesn't matter about how much he's painting or his work. But everybody know for him. I don't wanna to be famous like that. That's a headache. So I'm happy with this what I am now, but I'm not completely artist. That's my thinking still. I am creative person who use a tool to make a art. So I don't know, that's some my theory.
Right. Of
maybe
course, I mean everyone
maybe
has
I'm
their
wrong,
own.
maybe not, but and I really enjoying to do that.
So do you take it offensive if someone does just call you an artist? Like myself, like I call you an artist. But do you take that as offensive then because you don't consider yourself one?
No, 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 no.
Uh,
You have your thinking. I have my thinking. I respect what you think about me. And but I personally think about me. I'm not completely artist.
you're
So
you're very
I
humble.
it, it's cool when you say that. That's very cool for me. And I like to hear that from audience and from other people. But I personally think I'm not completely artist.
That is so interesting.
I'm not Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger is artist, music artist. And I'm not.
Well, you're Ivan. You're Ivan Pesic.
Yes, yes, I am. But
You are artist Ivan Pesic.
yeah, okay, okay. If you think that, that's okay.
I'm sorry. It's so
No,
hard for
I
me
just kidding.
not to
That's
look
okay.
at you as an artist. I'm
That's
like,
okay.
that's wild. But I'll obviously you think you have your own belief and like I totally understand that. I mean, honestly, a lot of artists have it within them to a certain degree that uh bit of oh, what's the word, imposter syndrome. They don't feel like they belong in the position that they're in or that they qualify to be called such, whatever title it be. So like an artist, like some people don't think they actually qualify to be called an artist, but then it's like it's so odd because again, if it depending on how or who describes what an artist is, it's like again, I just always believe that the artist is someone that invokes a type of emotional reaction or response towards your craft, whether it's like sorrow or happiness, excitement, or just something. Like that's what an artist is and what they do. So because your work does invoke feelings in me. So I'm like, well, you're definitely an artist, whether you believe it or not.
No, you're completely right. Right. I agree with you. But sometimes some people who I don't want to be rude, but some
Yeah.
people make something and they say they don't spend a 10-20 minutes on some work, and they call themselves artist. So it's not same when you spend 2-3 hours or more on some card or somebody who just make a print of that.
Right. Gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
and it's not you and he or she, it's not same. This is reason I don't wanna identify myself as artist, because yes, I spend 5 till 7 days to make one painting to completely finish from idea to hang on the wall. But
Mhm.
some people spend months,
Mhm.
years,
Even years. Yep.
and we are not on same level.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's
yeah. there's certainly levels to everything, especially when it comes to art. Um, it's like it's kind of funny having this discussion with you about that because uh there's something that I've noticed how I react when I'm doing these markets and people are looking at my work and they often will say like, "Oh, you're so talented." And personally, I actually believe in my heart that like I believe everyone is talented. It's a matter of where they find their talent. But then there's also skills. So I think like again, like everyone is talented. They just have to find a thing. And then when they find skill sets to apply to that, that just adds a whole nother level to it. So maybe it's because I've been doing this for a great majority of my life that I don't know. It's kind of I'm probably gonna sound arrogant, and I don't mean to, but like I'm kind of like when I hear someone say I'm talented, it feels nice, it feels good, but like deep down, I'm like I'm not looking to show my talent. I'm kind of more so trying to show the skill sets I have. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. So kind of like in a way when when you're like I'm not an artist, like in a similar way, I'm kind of like, yes, I'm talented, but I believe in my heart I have skill too, and I want people to see that
Yeah,
instead of just the talent. It's weird. I feel I kind of feel I don't know. I feel arrogant saying that, but that's just an honest feeling I have when I do these shows. But I just think
yeah.
it's a funny point.
You say something very very smart. I totally agree. Everybody have any talent, and just some people have problem and never find what is their talent, but some people find out, and some people when find they don't build that, or they have no support from family, from society, but if you most people are lucky, they find their talent and they start to build that, so talent is maybe 50% of
Absolutely.
success, if you start to build that, you're going to 75. And practice. I always say practice.
Hmm.
uh to make one piece, you need to throw, maybe it funny. I'm just, for example, just a practice, never give up, so
Absolutely.
that's my point. And I think if you fighting enough, you will be successful, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. And to add on to that, because often I'll have parents with their kids looking at my work, because I do some like pop art, fan art, and when they see that and they're like, oh, like yeah, my son or my daughter, they're an artist too. They're or even they themselves will say, "Oh, I wish I can draw like that." And honestly, I always say I never fail to miss it. I always say to them, I'm like, like if like they'll say, "Oh, I can only draw a stick figure," and I say, That's technically the first step." Like when I went to college for animation, one of my first assignments for a fundamentals of it was a life drawing class, but it was like a fundamental class, and we had to draw hundreds of gesture lines, which is
Yeah,
essentially just more elegant stick figures. But I would tell them, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I had my one of my assignments was just drawing essentially stick figures in different positions. I'm like, if you can do that, that's just one of the foundational steps. After that, you add some more simple shapes, and then you start adding more organic lines and keep adding on. And and that's just like, and like you said, you just got to keep practicing and practicing. So like the more you do that, and yeah, just the more time you invest on it. Also, try to have a good idea that like this is something you want to do, as like a therapeutic hobby or maybe as a profession, it's just like you gotta just remember, like the more time you put into it, the better you'll get. 100%. You just gotta be consistent
Yeah,
and
yeah,
have some discipline too.
that's right.
Maybe 10 minutes at least if if you can fit some time, but like just to have that drive to keep going because yeah, I mean it's going to require failed attempts to capture something the way you want it, you know. And that's just like one of the many advices I try to like reassure aspiring artists is just like you'll get there. Like if you want to get there, you'll get there. You just gotta stay driven, and then just keep at it. Really, just keep adding more hours to it. Practice, like you said, practice, practice, practice. People like, oh, say practice makes perfect, but I actually just say practice makes better. Because
Better,
you're
yeah.
never gonna find perfection. I think I'm gonna confidently say, just as artists, we are all perfectionists to a certain degree.
Yeah, but what is professional for you? What is perfect for you?
uh Perfection. I think honestly, perfection is perfection isn't it's not so much what you feel or think, it's what you don't. As in, if I if I'm working on something and I'm on the last phase of the painting, such as like I'm putting in some additional layers to add some depth on the painting. And if I can put the brush down, sit back, look at it, and not feel like, should I add this or this needs that? Like, if I can just stare at it and just observe it, to the point where I can go to bed and not think about it, that's where I've, that it's
Okay,
completed. That's how I consider. It's kind of like for the audience, the way I would describe it is like CBD, right? CBD and THC. When people take CBD oils, they're like, "Oh, I don't feel high when I
yeah,
take
yeah,
CBD." And
yeah,
it's like, well, you're not supposed to feel high when you're on CBD. CBD helps with the anxiety and the stress. So if you're not feeling anxious or stressed, uh, then the CBD is working in a sense. So that's
yeah.
kind of how I look at perfection or just like I don't even want to say perfection. I just want to say like satisfaction on a piece. Like
Exactly.
when I feel a piece is completed, it's when like I'm not questioning it. I'm not wondering if it needs more. It's like I can sit back, look at it, and just appreciate it. And that's how I know it's completed. Nothing needs to be done. Nothing else needs to be done.
Yeah, I ask you that because uh, I never seen something perfect, from of my work. As you say, I see something satisfies me, something I really like I did, and I can see something technically perfect because, as you say, technically with a good material, with a good amount of color or something, I see something perfect, but something to say, oh man, that's perfect. I never seen that. So that's the reason I ask you. So usually I paint in the night, usually. And before I had a problem, I watch when I finish, I watch on the painting. I say, can I add something? Can I add something? And I mess it. And now I talk with some older artists. They told me paint to the moment you feel it's done. Doesn't matter. Don't watch anymore. Go sleep in the morning. Take a cup of coffee and come to see, and you will see. Did you need to add something or you take out something? And that's work, man.
Yeah, actually, I agree with that as well. Because I was also gonna add that sometimes for me, sometimes I have to wait to the next morning or the next day to look at it with fresh eyes. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's usually I so to kind of like to clarify what I said before, usually I would need fresh eyes to really determine if like, all right, like I like how I felt last night is justified. Like I still like the way it looks, or if I need to add a little something, then I'll do it. But yeah, like having fresh eyes definitely helps, you know, uh, give perspective on whether or not something needs to be done additionally to the painting or the artwork. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's why I always say, practice doesn't make perfect. It makes better.
Yeah,
So, you're for an artist, that's why, right? Many say, I'm still a student of the arts, even though I have a master's in this or whatever the level of credentials they may have. They still, they would still oftentimes consider themselves still a student of the arts because they're just always learning something. They're always refining skills or techniques. So yeah, levels. There's many levels to being an artist.
yeah,
And so like I'm a pretty big fan of mixed martial arts because I try to find correlations in that, I mean it's a different form of art form, right? Um, but the same thing applies to like what I was saying regarding a talented person as opposed to someone that's skilled because you can see a lot of fighters that are just they're just naturally talented, but some of them fall short because they lacked certain skill sets or even just discipline. So when you find a fighter that, let's say, wasn't talented and had to learn all the fundamentals and learn all the things and put in extra hours into what they're working on, and then you find out like they're so good, and it's like, but it took for that one person, it may have taken more years than the naturally talented, but then the naturally talented person required skills and discipline. So it's like it's just fascinating the levels of artistry is involved.
yeah. Did you know I practice Shotokan Karate for over 15 years? I have black belt, second dan.
I remember vaguely you mentioning that at one of the art shows that we did together, but we didn't get too far deep into that. So, would you like to share more about that?
Yeah, I
I'd
mean,
love to hear it.
I'm trying now to be in the shape. It's nothing serious. But a couple of years ago, I had my school over here in Parks and Recreation. I had karate class, and I like that. I like Japanese culture. I like
I
uh,
could tell.
its culture and samurais, geishas, and I'm very interested in that. So you see,
Yeah.
katana, sorry.
Yeah.
So I really like that, and I'm trying to make any link, my creativity and something, something from from sport, from karate, from martial arts. Also, I'm good cook, man. I enjoying to make a food,
Oh yeah.
that's
Okay.
my another passion, so I really like that.
Well, so that's the thing about, I'll we'll stay away from the term artist and we'll just say a creative, right?
Yes,
Because when creatives, yeah, because when you address an artist, I think commonly you would think of like a fine artist, right? But nowadays, it's mostly like it's creatives are the ones that seem to be really coming out because you learn about these visual artists that have all the like many of us are just multifaceted. That's been one of the common themes of this podcast is learning how multifaceted a lot of us are. Like because I like martial arts. I never practice a discipline, but as far as exercise and just physical conditioning, I
yeah,
would do,
mental,
shadow box. Yeah, just all of those benefits. I would, I would shadow box and I would do footwork and drills and stuff like that. But I never, became a member of a gym that was, whether martial arts or boxing or jujitsu. I wish, like looking back, I wish I had it in my wheelhouse to want to do that, but I was just a different person several years ago mentally. Um, but that's the thing. Like you said, you're cooking as well, and culinary arts, right? So it's just so it's fascinating when you learn more levels to each creative, like all of the creative endeavors that they like to pursue or just you know, started pursuing. But what, so, all right, I want to talk about the martial arts first, and then we can transition to the cooking because I'm interested how you got into
Yeah.
that. But the martial art, how long have you been doing martial arts?
So I start, in Serbia, I was maybe seventh or eighth grade
Oh, wow.
in middle school, and until college. So almost 12 years. And I make one break on the college. I start again after that. And until I came in United States till 2005. So I had a couple championships, and I mean, I love that, but I know was very good. I was not perfect, but I like that. That was my lifestyle, and I really enjoy that. But beside that, I told you I like pencil, ink, and I work. I like Bruce Lee. I made a couple comic books about Bruce Lee, when I was kid, and I just mixed that. So when I came here, I stopped, and one day I work in the factory. I remember, and I work from 5 o'clock a.m. in the morning till 1 o'clock afternoon. And every day I came home, sit on the sofa, and fall asleep. And one day I say, "Come on, man, what you doing? You have skill. You have, I heard Parks and Recreation looking for instructors, for any sport. No more sofa, and I go to Parks and Recreation. I apply, and I got a space, and I start with a karate school, and 2 3 years, I had a karate school over here. Some kids came to me, I learned them, and I enjoyed. I was active. That first was because me, but you know, it's good. And right now I have no official school, but I like to going on a kendo, on iaido in Stanton, or aikido sometimes, So I'm very active in that.
That's great. And like also like because I mean, and it's healthy, right? You're active, you may not be doing it for competition for sport, but it's a great physical conditioning. And that's when it comes to like mental and physical, like overall health, I'm very like I get very sort of like emotional and like excited really anytime I hear someone say that they're embarking on just a healthier lifestyle or something, especially artists, because I know, we know what it's like to be stationary, sedentary, working in our space. And, it's not good for our bodies. And especially as we get older, it's so important to condition ourselves. And I try to spread that message a little bit because I see a lot of people, I see a lot of other vendors, um, like just seeing vendors struggle carrying their things. It kind of makes me sad a little bit just because I just want to keep promoting health, and I just want to just like advise people and it's like, hey, just a little bit of exercise and it'll make not only, your mentality better, but it's gonna make, your regular day to day easier. And you get to be a little more injury free and you're just more in tune with your body. So like when I hear people say I like to exercise and be active, it makes me happy.
Yeah, I mean, any activity is very good, and healthy, Sometimes I feel I'm not active, but right now I like to walk a dog, or just to go out and especially on festivals, I'm very active, But activity is very important,
Mhm.
definitely.
Yeah, like I always tell people, it's like, it's like taking care of a car. Like keep maintaining your car, it's gonna keep running.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's like the same thing. You got to keep maintaining your body and just like make sure you're just in good physical condition to like, yeah, like we do these events, so we're always carrying bins and canopies and grids and whatever, and it's just like, a little bit of exercise every other day will make that easier. But
exactly. 30
yeah,
minutes per day, it's good.
yeah. So so now cooking, how, like, what got you to enjoy cooking more?
I think I was cooking all my life, because I remember my father, he was good cooker, and I mean, my mom always fix a food, but sometimes my father makes something, and we really like that what he make, And I don't know, I like to same I like to experiment with food, and usually before when my kids was very little, young, and my wife and I we work different shifts, because somebody need to watch the kids,
Mm.
and but when I was first shift and I watch kids afternoon, so I need to make something for food, and I really enjoy to kids like to eat my food, so my crepes, crepes.
Hmm.
I have special recipe for that. I developed my recipe for years, and my wish is to open no restaurant, but something like a creperie,
Okay.
That's my wish, and I still think about that. My wife is good cook too. She's very good. I don't complain, but I like grilling. I make a bread sometimes, and I when I see some new recipe or interesting recipe, let's try that,
Mm.
So I like to eat first, but
Yeah.
definitely my cooking is my passion. I think sometimes I like more to cook than to paint.
Oh, interesting. I was
So
gonna ask you that.
sometimes, because that's really I really enjoy that.
So if you didn't pursue the arts, could you see yourself, let's say in a different timeline, uh, starting your own business at like a baking or you know maybe even like a food truck business or something like that.
So that was idea early, to start a food truck business, and but now I would like some like a storefront with 2 3 tables, and maybe coffee, some coffee shop or something like that. So
Mhm.
I this is just a idea,
Yeah.
So I don't take this because I told you I already was coffee shop owner, and it's very hard, I was work for 2 years, and I had enough money to roll it business, but nothing to bring it home.
Mm.
And my wife told me, bring me husband or money. Something need to be in the home, and I just quit because it's too hard. If you're doing by yourself, it's very hard to do business. So I have no any wish. I don't like to be any business owner, something big, something simple like that.
Yeah. I'm just
And this art and graphic design, I don't see like a business.
mm,
Yes, I'm making money, but I I I like to do that. I'm enjoying to do that.
yeah.
So I think I was lucky to work in something and take, to earn some money for that. So I can make my life from that. And that's very important.
Yeah. Yeah, I always I would always say when I go through a lengthy time without just simply drawing, I do feel like a bit of depression. There's like a sadness there, like almost like a disappointment because I don't feel, that like there's like I don't know, it's like creative fulfillment or what, but I do feel empty when I notice let's say majority of my week was dedicated to creating content and podcasting and like multimedia stuff. Then I'm like, I crap. I need to draw more. And so like that will I feel like that will always stick with me because I've gone through my phases, especially during college. In high school and college, I was experimenting with music. And every now and then I like to would like to think I pick up an instrument again and play, but yeah, at the end of the day, it always comes down to just visual arts, I'll say. But going back to kind of being multifaceted, I like music, I like training, I like well, I like martial arts, although I don't have a discipline in it. But there's a lot of other art forms that I'm rather um, very enthusiastic about it. And if I had the time and energy, I probably would pursue those other disciplines. Um,
So
but
I don't know. When everything I see, you're doing very good. Your videos, your multimedia. I told you that before.
yeah.
That's amazing. And your drawings are great. Your ideas with free art or something like that.
Oh,
It's amazing. Nobody doing that, man. That's great.
thank you. Yeah,
Definitely.
it was an idea suggested to me by Nicole's cousin because she knows an artist, I think in California, that was doing that. But he was doing something a little different. Like he would do, it's kind of like almost like graffiti art type of thing. So it'd be like a tag or something that he would leave out. But just this is what I do is more illustrations. So yeah, it's definitely helped connect with the local community and gain a little more followers and just yeah, it's just a great way to get your name out there. So I've suggested it to numerous people that if you when in doubt, drop a little few gems here and there. Nothing
Yeah.
too big, but just a little something that people can appreciate. Like who doesn't love free art, right? But yeah, I used to do them bigger, and then now I finally just decided, all right, I'm only gonna do as big as 5x7 because there is like time and effort and there is enough going into that where sometimes I'm like, oh, I can't just leave it out there out in the open.
No, man, keep it small. Don't make
Yeah.
them greedy,
Oh no,
just
exactly.
small. That's it.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you
So
want,
that's what I'm saying. I like 5x7 is good enough for me. Like I
yes.
But
Yes,
in the
exactly.
beginning, I was doing like 9 by 12 illustrations,
Yeah, man.
and there were some of them were painted. So I just keep it very minimal, just be an ink illustration on a recyclable cardboard sheet, 5 by 7. And that's the thing. Like I make sure I use like recyclables for the art. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not using up my paper. But yeah, it's fun. I'm glad people are enjoying them. It's fun. It's fun seeing people's reactions. Um, so I want to pick your brain about this. This is a topic that I cover um almost with every artist because it's affecting everybody, and it's a major uprise, and that's the generative AI. Do you have any strong opinions or feelings about where we're at with generative artificial intelligence?
So it's scary first. So definitely scary, but I think cannot affect, something what you made with your hands. Uh, Artificial intelligence cannot make a texture like that. So I don't worry about that. And I don't know. For now, maybe going more, maybe going more professional, but more aggressive, more. But yes, it's scary, but I don't worry about that.
Mm,
If you keep your style, if you keep something, if you're still going to work by yourself, that's okay. Problem is if somebody use AI and say that's my artwork, that's problem. I worry more about that to use AI, but I don't care about AI specific.
yeah. So it's interesting that you say that because what we've been talking about for the past hour about how you yourself pursue the arts, like you don't sure you're making money from it, but essentially you're doing it for yourself, right? um so I can see how sort of the AI tech, AI art isn't so much a concern for you. But I agree with you wholeheartedly about um, people that claim themselves as AI artists and use AI art as their craft. Um, because I've expressed it nearly at nauseum, so I apologize for the audience that has heard me say this numerous times. But I do believe AI. Let's say one of their AI painting apps, like I think Dolly is one of them, right? So I believe you can use AI art as a tool, perhaps as a reference, but I
Yes.
would never subscribe to trying to sell it as a piece, especially when I have a level of confidence in my ability to create the art. Like, why would I use something artificial to sell as my own when I can create art? But I also think it's okay to use the AI art as a reference as opposed to researching it yourself,
Yes.
right? So there's like sort of like a line there, because a lot of people are very like just across the board anti artificial intelligence, but I do believe there are benefits, especially helpful benefits to it, as long as it's used respectively and responsibly. um but yeah, there's some, at least like for me, there are some concerns about how it affects just like everything else, and even people too, like not even in a creative way, just like because you hear of these like bizarre cases of parents or like grandparents getting these fake phone calls from their quote unquote grandchildren asking for money when it's really just like an AI, you know, like some robot that's like generated to get money from you some way somehow. So I worry about stuff like that. Um, but it's just too fascinating to not address like how it's affecting just like other forms of art like AI music and
Yes.
now AI animation and film and stuff. So I'm always curious to pick other artists' brain about the direction that it's going right now. But to kind of bring some hope to in all this, I on another episode that I recorded by myself, I used this quote by comedic actor Steve Martin.
Okay.
It was an old interview, and this is when he was still actually. I think this was at the brink of when he went from being a stand-up comedian to an actual like a big like star, like a movie star. And he was saying to that, to in those certain circumstances, be undeniably good. So like whatever it is that you're pursuing is like be so good that the audience can't deny you. And I feel like when in this AI era, like that's almost sort of like the mentality that I would like suggest, especially a lot of aspiring artists, is like focus on the thing you want to pursue, and like just focus on getting better and better. So to a level where you don't have to worry about AI art taking over your job or your thing, like because you're so good at what you do that people are gonna want that thing from you and not from artificial intelligence. So and I think that just speaks a lot of levels to what we're going through right now. But it's like fascinating though, because there was a case earlier this year that there was an artist that won like an art contest, but he won with AI art. But now I think it's like get his award. um it can't be copyrighted or anything because it was it was
Yes.
artificially
Yes.
generated. So
Yes.
this
Exactly.
there's a win. That's a small win for many of us, is that you know as accessible and easy it is to have AI art or to produce AI art, you can't copyright it. So it's
Yeah.
like
I mean, we had AI and before maybe it's called different. There's one called video editing or something doesn't matter. And when you call 800 phone,
mhm,
that's AI too.
yep,
You're
like
talking
voice
with a robot.
operated.
So, but now it's better and better. So I understand that. And everything will be okay if people don't use that for I don't know, for some
Malicious
bigger
thing.
reason. Exactly. So as artists with a painting or drawing skill, if you take this and make a reference photo, that's totally okay for me. You
Mhm.
are still artist. You know how to use what technique to use to make something original. That's okay. It's not your idea. Doesn't matter. Nothing is now your own idea.
Mhm.
So we taking reference from internet, we taking reference somebody told you, or I like to paint my things from my own, mind sometimes. But sometimes I need to see, doesn't matter what is my art level. I need to see reference for a hand to put this like this. Everybody use that. That's totally okay. That's normal. I don't copy, I don't know, Van Gogh and put my name. No, I'm not doing that. So if people don't use AI, it's okay. But if they just a sit for computer, make something song or text or book and they sign like they made that, that's problem, So I I can say that's a criminal, you know,
Yeah.
or identity thief or something like that.
Yeah, because I've admitted it. I use references as well, and you know, speaking like in terms of like where the line is, like I kind of have I guess maybe a pet peeve, but there's something about like tracing art that kind of irks me a little bit. I mean, I understand like when you're doing graphics and photo manipulation and whatnot, but like there's a lot of art out there that you can tell is just, if it's just vectored, just traced digitally and just
Yeah,
made it so that it pops, right? So it almost looks like graphic design work, but it's just like a traced photo that like because I've seen some of that around here, and that's just my personal thing is like I feel funny about that personally. um but when you can tell that an artist used a reference of any kind, but they still use their own capabilities to, whether it's replicate it or to turn it into something else, that's where like that respect and that appreciation comes in, because like a lot went into that other than just tracing or having something generated for you.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
um
I mean, I don't know. I use for something, for some information, or I mean, it's not I use internet a lot, for all my work. Sometimes I use I ask how to mix, how to make skin color, or something. uh, it's much easier than to doing step by step to make a sound by
of
yourself.
course. Yeah.
And sometimes I'm trying, I just uh, put a couple prompts, to make for painting. I already have, so samurai sitting, and I never get same results as I made,
Yeah, man.
So, I don't know. I think I don't care too much right now. We'll see. Maybe maybe later will be problem, but for now, after all, somebody made that. Somebody made AI, and we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll just wait and see.
Yeah,
um so we're getting close to the end, and usually what I frequently like to do with my guests, and even just sometimes by myself, is that at the end I like to share an inspirational quote, um, for audience members to use to apply to their life, whether it's art related or just just regular daily life. And it's a quote. It's funny that we're kind of like in this Japanese culture theme here, but it is a quote by Miyamoto Musashi from the Book of Five Rings. Are you? I'm assuming you're familiar with Musashi.
yeah, of course, of course. Yeah,
So the quote here is, there is nothing outside of yourself that can ever enable you to get better, stronger, richer, quicker, or smarter. Everything is within, everything exists. Seek nothing outside of yourself. End quote. And I think that just kind of speaks again, like on all levels. Yeah, I think you can apply that to virtually anything in your life. Um, and to kind of go back to like what makes an artist, or what makes something artful. Um, I believe Musashi even has like maybe has a quote on it, or I heard it from somewhere, but it's almost like how you pursue a task can be like artful. When you put like a certain, your full intention on the thing that you're doing can almost make that like artful. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, of course, I totally understand five rings, and I totally understand Musashi's idea. He never was happy with his sword skill. And he always fight, trying to find a duel with a better than he. Because from weaker than him, he never learned anything. He always had a duel with somebody who is stronger than Musashi.
Yeah.
And he learned from every duel. He learned more and more.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of like what he was implying with there's another quote. And I'm paraphrasing, so it's not going to be exact, but he says something along the lines of, what is it? To know one thing, know 100 things, or something like that. Was that Musashi? Maybe it was somebody else. But I
I
hear this.
know I
It's
know
like,
story. Somebody asked what is different between master and beginner. So master have more fall downs than beginners trying.
I like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that's I hear that it's not from fibings from something different.
Okay.
But it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you've read the Five Rings?
Yes, I have
Okay.
here a book. Yeah.
Because
Uh,
I've been meaning to check that out. I'm an audiobook guy, so I gotta, you know, download it. But I've been interested uh in that book, and just a lot of Musashi's quotes, because they're very philosophical. So
Yeah,
um
and read. Don't. I mean, if you didn't read yet, so my recommendation for you: don't read from perspective of samurai or warrior.
mhm.
You read from yourself. So try to make his speeches or his uh, ideas from your perspective as artist, or as doesn't matter, regular, ordinary man. Because
Exactly.
I heard in Japan, every Japanese before start any business, they read five rings first.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I heard that. So it's helpful, definitely.
Well, that's why I meant, like, it's very philosophical, and you can apply it to virtually anything, right? Like, just yeah,
Yes.
just like what you said, like when I'm listening to it or reading it, to approach it and apply it to myself as opposed to a samurai. Um, but that's what I love about his from what I've read of his, and even Bruce Lee as well. Like, these things can be applied to just so many things. So it
Yes.
doesn't even have to
Yes.
be about martial arts. It's the manner of like that sort of like self-discipline, and like wanting to learn more about the thing that you're doing, whatever it is. It could be like washing a car or something, but there's always something that you can
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
yeah,
definitely self-discipline, is a key of everything.
absolutely. um yeah, well, is this your first podcast, or you've done something like this
That's my
before?
first podcast in my life.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, well, I hope you had a good time.
yeah,
uh
I had a great time, man.
I'm glad, because this was something I've been wanting to do. Like, every time, like, it's just like, yeah, whenever we do cross paths, I always say to myself, I'm like, I gotta have him on the podcast, I know it's going to be a great talk, and because I respect you and your work. So, and you are an artist.
Okay.
No.
I definitely had a good time. I was a little nervous, because my language. I don't know how this looks like right now after hour and 30 minutes talk, but
You did perfectly fine, my friend.
that's
Like
great. I really
absolutely nothing to
appreciate it.
worry about. I've had other like international guests on before, so and you just make do with what you can, but you have nothing to worry about. You did phenomenal. Um, and for our audience members, especially actually for any local audience members, is there anything you'd like to plug? Event wise or any offers on your artwork or anything?
Yeah, I mean,
You want any events booked? Are
oh,
you doing
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, man. I have October. October is every weekend is booked, so
Okay.
I'm going on September 29 till October 1st, 3 day show. This is Neptune Art show in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
That's a big show, and I think will be good. After that, I have Alexandria Art on the Avenue. This is 1 day show. That's good show for you, man.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. Is that on that list that you sent me a while back?
I think I did.
Okay.
I think I did.
I still have that list, so I'm gonna refer to it.
I can send you again, no problem. I have more shows now put in
Oh,
the.
I mean, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Whenever
I
you
will.
whenever you can.
Yeah, sure,
Appreciate it.
sure. After that, I have Waynesboro Fall Forward Festival, and last week in October, I have Stackley Garden in Norfolk. That's it for this year. I'm
Okay.
going to Europe in December.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
For vacation, for a holiday, or for work, or for art.
I'm going on dental vacation.
And
Yeah,
I can relate to that. I've had to, yeah, I've had to deal with that as well. Some dental stuff.
yeah, I'm going to fix my teeth and just to visit my family, my brother, and to spend New Year Eve over there, Christmas. Because my company now we have a vacation. All companies closed around New Year, so that's paid vacation for everybody, and I use that usually to going in Europe.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah,
Very nice. Alrighty then. Well, Yvonne, I can't thank you enough for making the time to do this with me. Because as I know, you like to paint at night, so I appreciate you for the time. And for everyone that is tuning in, whether you're listening or watching, if you're just listening, I would also recommend watching too, so you can see samples of the artwork that I'm gonna share. But if not, be sure to check out the links provided in the show description because I will be providing links to our social media so you can see more of Yvonne's work. And do you post your events on your social media as well?
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
so yeah,
Facebook, Instagram, and my personal website.
there you go. So be sure to visit those links. And everyone, please stay safe, stay healthy, and stay driven. And we shall catch you on the next one. Bye bye, folks.